Do you see this move on the daily chart? It's a MACD line crossing above the signal line, a very big bullish move for Bitcoin. I want to break it down in this video with some underlying caution. As always, there's always underlying caution. But I just want to point out the momentum that we've been in on the down low, right? This downswing of momentum all the way back to April, mid-April. And that last burst of momentum to the upside, very short-lived. So it's been a while since Bitcoin actually has made a move like this. And you can just see the last time Bitcoin had a nice strong MACD move above the signal line was all the way back here. That was in March of 2023. Before we dig into these charts, I just want to show you what that looked like, the move. And this is the move from that swing low Bitcoin as the MACD crossing the signal line, seeing really a swing high of around 50+% to the upside. Is that to say right now we're about to get 50% swing to the upside? It's in play, it's possible, but I want to kind of bring into context all of the data so that we can kind of get a sense of what confirmations, at the very least in the short term, we should watch for. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's jump into this video. There's a lot to talk about in terms of the pattern that you see on the screen here, in terms of the MACD that we just discussed, and the weekly chart. And this is what the weekly chart looks like right now over here on Bitcoin. So a lot happening right now. The first thing I just want to point out is I did this video. I'm not going to show you a clip here, but this was like 3 weeks ago. We were talking about a very similar move, the MACD line crossing above the signal line. And we had this, you can see if I zoom in, a little green coming into play on that histogram. Now, if we look at, and that failed, obviously, we go back to the daily chart and we look at this, you can just see where it failed. And now Bitcoin making another attempt. What is good as we're watching this Bitcoin chart is this entire move now is really in this kind of oversold territory. The momentum has really fallen as opposed to getting a MACD crossing above the signal line above 0 on the histogram. Right now it's happening below 0 on the histogram. That's definitely a good thing in terms of Bitcoin, just because when we get those powerful moves, that's usually what's happening. We're getting that cross below 0 on the histogram. And here's all the way back here in November. So the previous 2 times we've seen Bitcoin, and you can just zoom out on a Bitcoin chart and dissect the data, but the previous 2 times we see Bitcoin make that cross on the MACD, and there's some sideways before the real explosive move comes into play. This is why this is a bullish signal. So that's first things first. But what are we contending with? What is Bitcoin contending with on the short term? And then we're going to look at the weekly. This is probably the best consolidation pattern that we have. It's just very nice. It's clean. It's a symmetrical triangle. Bitcoin has been consolidating. Most interestingly, besides this consolidation out of or within the triangle, Bitcoin has been consolidating below the lower trend line. So we got the breakout out of that triangle, and it's been like 10 days of just sideways in this $1,000 range. So we're getting this very bullish MACD cross that we just looked at on this daily chart. But what's happening now, and this is where we start watching for bullish confirmation, because it's not here just yet. Obviously, that's one signal. We always want to take into account all of these different indicators, all of the different moving parts and tools that we have at our disposal. And one of those things is patterns and moving averages. So we have the pattern, obviously. What I'm watching for in terms of this pattern is we get to break to the downside, and we see this often, everybody, break out of a trend line, whether it's the downside or the upside, and it's just this pullback move and the retest of the entire trend line that it broke out of. We're looking for a busted pattern. A busted pattern in this context on this chart that we see here could bring Bitcoin back into the apex. And if it can break resistance that we're about to talk about, break the upper trend line, $32,000 target out of this triangle. So that move is in play from a technical analysis perspective. And you can just see that would be a move from where Bitcoin is, like 15 to 20%, right around 17% to the upside. And that would be that nice kind of short to midterm move if Bitcoin bulls are able to step in right now, though. Because besides the lower trend line that it's contending with right here, we have the perfectly confluent resistance at this 20-day moving average. So right now, as I do the video, right around $27,400 to $500, Bitcoin is at a key resistance. And you can just see it at this daily wick on this chart. So on the very short term, I'd be wondering to see if Bitcoin can break above that area into the apex of the triangle. And then we have just a lot more to contend with. Bitcoin does. It's 28,300 is the 50-day moving average. And just above that, almost confluent with that, is the upper trend line. So this entire apex area is a big resistance area for Bitcoin. If we go to the weekly chart, now this is where things get interesting. If you look at this weekly chart, this is something Bitcoin is really needing to do because this is the first time this has happened in Bitcoin's history. That is this 20-week moving average in green falling below the 200-week moving average in red. So that's the story of this bear market. It is what it is. This is what happened. This is how drastic it was. And you can just see since Bitcoin bottomed, it's been just on the uptrend. So we've crossed back above the 50-week. It's a back above that 200-week is so crucial. And this move, if Bitcoin bulls can step into play, the move to $32,000 would be crucial in getting Bitcoin 20-week moving average in green back above that 200-week moving average. A $32,000 Bitcoin right on this chart, just so you get some context of what that looks like, is right around there. So a move like that would kind of bring Bitcoin back into this consistency in terms of moving averages alone. Because if you just go back once again and you look at this in the bottom of the last bear market, 20-week moving average really got pulled down, but it didn't cross below the 200-week moving average. And then if you just go back to the previous cycle, you can see very similar thing. The 20-week moving average got pulled down, but didn't cross below the 200-week moving average. So very similar bottoming out structures for Bitcoin across all cycles, but it is the fact that we did cross below that 200-week moving average. So that's a really key area in terms of this cycle shift that we want to see Bitcoin get back above. If there's going to be a bull market, right? And yesterday's video, we discussed kind of maybe sideways until this next halving. But if there's going to be a bull market post the 2024 halving, it'll eventually happen. The 20-week getting back above the 200-week. But the sooner the better, in my opinion. And if we can get that move to the upside and start getting just all these moving averages converging back to the upside, then we start looking at these moving averages as potential support. 50-week moving averages all the way down here around $21,000 to $22,000. We look at that as support. If Bitcoin's going to continue consolidating sideways or just down, maybe it's a pop up and then down. All these moving averages are so critical to Bitcoin in this higher low, higher high move out of the bear market. So it always does, though, doesn't it? It always starts on these short-term charts. And this is the daily chart. And just so interesting to watch right now as we have this really crucial MACD line crossing above. And again, absolutely no guarantees. But historically, when this happens and this momentum shift happens, you can just see March 2023, a really good example. Something really special happens on the Bitcoin chart. So will it happen again? This is what I'm watching in the short term. This is short-term resistance where Bitcoin is right now, and that's what I'm watching. You can get a sense of it on the 6-hour. This is what it looks like. Also, the sideways pain involved in Bitcoin lately. Hopefully this breaks soon. Obviously, I'm a Bitcoin bull, right? And I would really enjoy seeing it break to the upside as opposed to the downside. And I should note, I should have probably said it sooner, but downside target, if this resistance holds true and Bitcoin continues falling, downside target, $24,000 or so dollars. So that's what I'm watching, just anticipating all scenarios. Obviously, would really enjoy watching a swing to the upside, but time will tell, everybody. Please hit the subscribe. If you're not a subscriber to Crypto Capital Venture, please hit the subscribe. We're going to have some fun going into the next bull cycle. Hit that like button for me. It really means a lot. Your support really means a lot. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.